Okay, this is going to be a story time, and it is going to be about my experience with the Ouija board. Now, I first started experimenting with the Ouija board when I was, we're going to say, 13, 14 years old. And the experiences were good. Nothing happened. We just asked it a couple questions. We didn't have any bad experiences with it. So that was not a big deal. Even though my grandfather and my mother warned us not to mess with it, we did not listen to her. And we went to my grandparents' house and we found out that my grandmother had one that belonged to my mother. And yes, you cannot throw these away because they'll come back. Don't buy one, don't play with one, don't mess with it. It's just stupid. It is real. I'm going to tell you how I know this. When I was about, I think I was about 15 or 16. It had to be 16 because my stepsister was living with us. And it was the summer of, it's either 16 or 17. I'm not sure exactly. But it was summertime, and me and my stepsister were playing with the Ouija board. We had played with it before. Nothing had ever happened. I mean, you just asked questions and it answered it. On this particular day, I don't remember what spirit we were channeling, and it doesn't matter. We do not want to repeat whoever its name is. You should not repeat it 3 times. It's not a good idea. I did not know the rules of the Ouija board. We did not read them. I found out later that you should not let the planchette go through all the numbers and all the letters on the board. I did not know that. I'm just letting you know on some of the rules. You're not supposed to play it in your house. You're not supposed to let the planchette go off the board. And you most definitely say goodbye if you're going to use it. And don't ask life or death questions. Okay? It's just, it's wrong. You never know what spirit you're channeling. You don't know if you're channeling a good one or an evil one. Because if it is a good one, it may become angry because you have bothered it. And if it is an evil one, maybe they're all evil. I don't know. Don't know. Don't quote me on this. They're not always going to tell the truth. Okay? Demons do not tell the truth. They lie to you. Anyway, on this particular day, we had the board out. We had been playing it. The planchette did go through all the numbers on the board and letters, which we did not realize. The planchette also went off the board at one point in the game. My parents' dog was in his dog crate shivering and shaking and whining. And I mean whining. Just making a unusual amount of ruckus. Instead of saying goodbye, we just stopped playing the game. And we decided that we were going to look at the births and deaths that had been going on that week in the newspaper. As we were sitting there with the newspaper, now remember, we did not say goodbye to this whatever it was. And the dog continued to shake and whine in the kennel. Yes, he could come out. The door was open. He could go wherever he wanted. He could have left the room. But he did not. He stayed in the room with us. And we were looking at the births and deaths, and there was this large round light. I don't know if some of the older homes may still have it. And it's like implanted into the ceiling. And the cork from that you twist up to hold the light in fell down on the table onto the newspaper, which was kind of unusual that it would fall at an angle because we were not directly under the light. We were like a few feet away from where the the item would have fell if it would have fell just straight down. We didn't realize what it was at first. I looked at it and I said, "What's this?" And my stepsister went, "I don't know." So I threw it over my shoulder without thinking about it. I don't know why I threw it over my shoulder, but I did. And then we heard this sound that just sounded whoo, 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 and we heard that. And we were like, "What is going on?" And we looked up and we realized that the shade, now the shade was not tightly on there, okay? It was loose enough that it could, you know, when you unspin it, it would just come off. Okay, well this shade started spinning, and I mean it was hovering closer and closer. It hovered, like, it was very strange, and it was hovering and spinning really fast. It came at me and I pushed it away with my hand. It knocked some flowers off. When I looked over at my hand, I saw blood on my hand. It landed and we immediately ran next door to our neighbor's house. There was still blood on my hand, and I told him that I had cut my hand and that we possibly need an ambulance or something because my parents were not home. He went and grabbed a dish towel and wiped the blood away, and there was no cut there. Nothing. He was in shock, and he said, "Well, maybe you imagined it. I have no idea where this blood came from, but evidently you are not hurt." And he came over to the house and he looked around and he said, "Well, it doesn't seem to be anything going on now." He said, "Well, maybe it's just you guys' overactive imagination." So we put the stuff away and we waited for my parents to come home. And when they came home, we showed them what happened with the shade. And I did not touch anything on the table. I showed my mom how it came down at us. And I showed her, and I had it like, there was like an object underneath, but it was that far away from it. And the thing shattered in my hands into a million gazillion pieces. Now, my parents thought I hit something on the table with it, and I got extremely yelled at for that. But that is one of the experiences I've had with the Ouija board. It was very freaky. After that, strange things began to happen around the house. And I'll tell you that in another one. But the home we lived in was over 200 years old. So, you know, it was the first one on the block. And I know that because there are pictures of it. And you can see where some of the outbuildings were. And some of them are still there to this day. But it's now a city block, but you know, there are still, the buildings were sold off and made into other lots. Part of the barn is still there. The shed, one of the out sheds used to be, but my parents took it down and replaced it with a new shed. They still have occurrences in the home to this day, so you know. And nothing like that happened until we used that Ouija board at that house. From now on, I believe that that place is haunted because we used the Ouija board there. My suggestion, not to use it. This is not my only experience with the Ouija board. And I had other experiences. Some I remember, some I don't. But the thing is that please be very careful when using that. It is not a game. It is something real. Like I said, you never know who you're channeling or who you're talking to. It could be anything. And I mean anything. Like I said, my parents' house is still haunted to this day. Strange things still happen, still occur. And I'll tell you about some of them. And then I will tell you about the experiences I have here. We do believe that there is a spirit that still follows me to this day. Because we have problems with it. We have problems with spirits here on and off. My son has to come bless the house several times. I've never caught anything on film or anything like that. But it does happen here. Catch y'all later.